I have been taken to task. Most of my YouTube productions feature top-of-the-range Olympus gear. So can I produce similar results with an entry-level camera? I borrowed from Olympus their latest TUF and PEN cameras, both retailing in the UK for less than £500. So here goes. Help! No viewfinders! So that is a culture shock. My first shoot at a local fair may not be the best introduction, but Wakehurst brought about a sense of calm. The South of England show was in full swing at Ardingly, so Wakehurst was unusually quiet. I went with my Olympus friends, who took me around and carefully checked the route. So thank you, Richard, but I'm not quite sure what you can see through that. A strong June sun at midday is difficult for any camera, but I am pleased how the TG-6 coped with excessive contrast. I made things easier by saving to RAW, but pleasantly surprised that the patch was already available in Lightroom and Photoshop, despite using a camera not yet in the shops. I took members of the Dorking Camera Club on a photographic holiday to the Yorkshire Dales. Planned the year before, we had the misfortune of choosing a week when the weather was awful, described in the national press as a monsoon, but a good test for a tough camera. Being British, we kept our cool and soldiered on. We were lucky. Whilst the media reported nearby floods, we endured just cloud and drizzle, so we got off lightly. Waterfalls photograph well under an overcast sky, especially when using a long shutter speed to blur water. Under heavy cloud, a big open landscape won't look very breathtaking. Leave out the sky, but that of course is not always possible. Close views such as this river view at Mulham will look much brighter under a tree canopy. Try controlling white balance. Auto leaves everything looking rather cold. Instead, increase the Kelvin factor using daylight or cloudy presets, or if saving to RAW, experiment with white balance in Lightroom. Gardens are good subjects for inclement weather, especially close-ups. At Passable Hall Garden, it made a brief appearance from a hazy sky. We stayed at Newfield Hall, HF Holiday's superb hotel in the Craven district of the Yorkshire Dales. It has just been refurbished, so courtesy of the PEN camera, a 14-42 zoom, and all handheld at 200 ISO, here is a short tour of the public rooms. The 3 lounges are named after the 3 peaks: Penegent, Whernside, and finally Ingleborough, and all look very nice. Again, I have saved to RAW and adjusted highlights and shadows in Lightroom before making a JPEG copy for PowerPoint, the completed program converted to MP4 for YouTube. The aspect ratio is kept at 4:3, cropping to 16:9 for YouTube. This I had to bear in mind. I do not want to restrict myself to landscape formats, as my images are often published where 4:3 is a more flexible ratio, even better than 3:2. I was puzzled by the choice of metering modes. More research might be required here. In addition to ESP, it has spot, but you cannot lock it by half depressing the shutter button. Furthermore, the camera does not have an AEL button. After a bit of practice, I underexposed by a stop to contain highlights and then corrected in Lightroom. It worked, but to paraphrase a well-known joke, I pressed all the correct buttons, but not necessarily in the right order. Cloudy skies are perfect for interiors. Nevertheless, the dynamic range between a stained glass window and Bolton Abbey's interior is still very high. Noise is evident in this shot, and I think that my trusty EM1 Mark II would handle it much better than the TUF. But then that is what you pay for when you buy a camera for professional use. For St Mary's Church, Studley Royal, I used the pen and the images are much better. This interior is amazing, built by the Victorian architect William Burgess, who is also accredited with the reconstruction of Cardiff Castle and Castle Cock. Architectural photographers will have a field day, but these quick shots are handheld, so obviously the image stabilization is very good. Studley Royal is part of the Fountains Abbey estate, and we did the walk in the correct direction, ending up at the visitor centre, because the landscape garden was conceived as a prelude to the abbey and should be viewed first. Where possible, I cut out the cloudy sky, but the soft lighting was again perfect for the cascades, here handheld at 1/10 of a second, so no need for a filter to reduce exposure. A highlight of the tour was a steam train crossing Ribblehead Viaduct, a pleasant change from just a 2-car diesel unit. It was well researched by Alan, one of my guests, and a bonus, as not many operate on the National Rail network. Alan might have provided better weather, but subdued light does bring out the true character of a steam engine. By the last day, the wet weather had caught up with us. A pity, because the location was Brimham Rocks, an amazing gallery of rocks sculptured by wind and rain. There is the Eagle, Dancing Bear, or the Idol, an astonishing oversized rock precariously balanced on a slender pillar. But for how long? Whilst I will return to my EM1, I have gained useful experience with the TUF and PEN cameras and can appreciate how they fit into the Olympus canon. Like many photographers, I will never get used to composing an image on a screen. At times, it was point and shoot gone mad, but gradually a certain blind technique emerged, helped by a blind faith. There may be available an electronic viewfinder that can be slipped into the hot shoe of the pen. One feature on the TUF I really like is the GPS facility. Location information is recorded, and when the image is viewed on a Lightroom map, A marker shows its location, together with others taken in the same area, and when clicked, it displays a thumbnail. By the time you view this program, the cameras will have been returned to Olympus. I might investigate the tough TG-6 for something to slip into my pocket instead of a smartphone, for which the quality is, well, bound to be superior.